Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of your boys from the Papertrails podcast. I'm your host Shamaki with my co-host Mohammed, and today we're talking about probably one of my favorite shows I think of all time. Even though it's only been 2 seasons in and they got a new one coming out, and that show is The Bear. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen it or if you have not, but I just want to point out that I'll be hitting spoilers. So if you haven't seen it and you do want to see it, then obviously click away. But if you have seen it and you kind of want to know our thoughts and our takes on it, you know what I mean? Enjoy the ride.
Shall we give the people who haven't watched it a bit of a summary first?
No, we'll give it a bit of a summary before
and then tell them
straight into the
kick off.
Before we go straight to the thing. But for those of you guys that don't know what The Bear is, it's basically about a young chef called Kami, who basically inherits a restaurant from his brother that's passed on. And he basically comes back from being this award-winning like chef at like a high-end restaurant place in New York, back to like Chicago, where the restaurant is smaller, like the people in there, the chefs and all that, like I wouldn't say inexperienced, but they're like not as what he's used to. Like they have their own ways, they're set in their old ways, and he's trying to basically come in and turn the restaurant around. And while he's doing that, he's also dealing with grief and the loss of his brother at the same time. So he's basically trying to keep himself afloat, the restaurant afloat, a lot of things afloat. And in between that, we learn so many things about different characters that are in there, the crew that he's with, himself as well. And it's just a very mixed, diverse world that's very much up to like current culture, pop culture. It's got a lot of references and stuff like that throughout it. And it is a sensational show if you guys haven't seen it, but that's basically what it's essentially about: a guy trying to save his brother's restaurant.
And if you haven't watched it, you can head off now.
Yeah, I mean, come
absolutely. Back later.
But if you have watched it, then enjoy the ride. It'll be a good one. But
season 3 is starting tomorrow, so that's why we're covering season 1 and season 2.
It's tomorrow. I thought it was today.
Is it today the 26th? It's tomorrow, I think.
Yeah, actually, all right. Yeah. My word. But when did you first discover it?
Well, my wife watched it season 1. I just caught her watching in glimpses, and I was thinking, what's this nonsense?
Yeah,
what's all this nonsense? What's all this nonsense going on here? And I didn't end up watching it with her, but she said she really enjoyed it.
Okay.
And then season 2 came out, and she was like, let's watch it together. I was like, I gotta watch the first season first.
Yeah.
And I didn't really hear about it much from season 1, but I heard about it a lot more from season 2 from people watching it. And then we ended up watching season 1 together again. Well, she watched it again, and not me for the first time. And like I really enjoyed it. Like my overall like opinion of it is like just really well written show. Like one of the best written shows I've ever seen. And like, for me, people are raving a lot recently about House of Dragons, which is another season 2's coming out for that as well. For me, I don't know, like after like watching the whole Game of Thrones series and experiencing that world, I kind of got tired. I don't know about you, but I kind of got tired of that, of the concept of just non-stop. This is the Game of Thrones where killing. Nobody's got morals. Everybody's corrupt. There's no one who's got like a real redeeming qualities. Like, there's no real redemption arc. Obviously, the likes of Ned Stark,
just constant chaos.
He's meant to be like a general good guy. He gets killed off early, so like the idea of a good guy straight away is like, that ain't happening in this show. But for me, I kind of got bored of that after watching Game of Thrones. I didn't really want to see it again in House of Dragons, because I feel like it's just the same thing but with dragons, you know. But obviously, it's in the same universe, and the idea is like, you know, fictional, like what do you call it? Medieval age where like it is in reality, it was like that, where sons were killing fathers and brothers and all this.
That was very
like,
casual.
So like in terms of like popular shows that like have been really raved about recently, I would say this one is one that's very different, and that's very like subtle in the way that the actors kind of showcase their emotions about all the scenes, because it's a very emotional show. It's probably one of the most emotional shows you'll ever watch.
You know what the craziest thing is? It's actually considered a comedy.
I would say season 1 started off quite comedic.
Yeah.
Season 2 got dark real quick.
Yeah, of course.
But it also got very introspective and very interesting. Like there's some characters in there that we'll talk about in a bit that like go through their character development from season 1 to season 2, and like that's very interesting. And even with like the main character himself, like he's overall seen as a very nice guy. Yeah, and then you see his character development as well. I won't say anything until we get into it a bit more. But I really enjoyed it, so I'm looking forward to season 3.
Absolutely. I think for me, how I just literally found out about it through one of my colleagues who's actually starting to be a chef, and then so he was talking about it and how he liked it and how it was kind of like very realistic to like actual like the chef world, and you know what I mean, the kitchen world. And I was like, okay, that's kind of, but I don't really know if I'll be interested in a show about a kitchen or a restaurant, you know what I mean. And then funny enough, I was on Disney Plus at one point. I was eating and I thought, you know what, let me try it, let me see what's happening. And then the way it kicked off, you know what I mean, him seeing the bear, him waking up, the fast-paced editing of it and all that kind of stuff, I was like, okay, wow, this is completely different to how I thought it was gonna be. But before that, like, I didn't really hear much about it. Yeah. And already at that point I was watching it, like, Disney had season 1 and 2 out. So I was like, okay, wow, there's 2 seasons on this thing. I've heard bits and pieces, but it wasn't like, you know what I mean, I feel like now, I don't know, maybe because I've seen it, that I've heard a lot more about it. Yeah. Like, a lot of people are anticipating this
called?
season.
There's a certain effect, I don't know what it is.
I don't know, but it's similar like to, like, you know, when you have a car and someone says you see your car all the time now. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, but before that you'd never see it. Yeah. You know? But I don't know if it might have a term, but I have no idea what the actual term is. But that was what it was. So I was seeing it a lot more.
You watch it all by yourself?
Yeah. It was very personal.
Did you watch it all quickly, like binge watch it, or?
I watched the first season very quickly. But then the second season, because I was like, okay, the next one's gonna come out for a while, so let me just take my time with this. You know? And so I kind of broke it down like that. So I hope now they're not gonna do that annoying thing when they make it weekly. You know, I hope want it all at once. I
hope they do.
And then I'll take my time. I'll figure out how I want to distribute it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know you like a bit of control. Yeah, you know,
man. You want to know when you're wait another week.
Yeah,
yeah. We've gone beyond that.
I really like weekly episodes. I really like the, because
my brain is too fried for that now. We've gone beyond that.
This guy's brain rot.
We're on demand.
Brain rot is non-recoverable.
Yeah, man, come on, man. How are you on a demand service, streaming service, and you're making it weekly? Like, it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
But that keeps people clued in. It gives people something to talk about during the week, and then giving them that period of anticipation, more people come to it.
I hear it. I fully hear it. Yeah. I mean, if I was a showrunner, I'll probably do it like that.
Because that's probably why the first season probably didn't get recognized like that. Because if it gets released straight away, certain people will watch it, and then certain people will just be like, "Oh, it's just another show."
No, it's true.
But when people talk about it and have that time, it really brings more popularity to it.
Yeah, I know. But like I said, I agree with that. Like, if I was a showrunner, I'll do it the same way. But it's like, stream services are like a buffet, and then you're telling me now you can't have this yet. It don't make sense.
You always want to sit at the buffet, huh?
Yeah.
Nah. Sometimes you need the three courses, bro.
But back to the show. Like I said, when I've got into it first, I think for me, like I said, I kind of like characters that are dealing with a lot of grief, of personal distress. Do you know what I mean? I hate an outgoing kind of guy.
If you read the book, if you heard the last episode, Sharks talking about, he was literally called Grief.
Grief, yeah. Some grief, something like that, yeah.
Sharks, mate. I don't know what's going on here.
Nah, but you know,
you don't respond to text messages, and I'm like, oh, is this guy all right?
Is this guy going for grief? Now, you know, it's kind of like this broken character kind of thing that I like. Again, like a Thomas Shelby kind of guy. You know, I always reference him. So Kami, which is the main lead in this, he basically bodies that kind of character very, very well, in terms of, like, he's going through a lot of stuff because he's dealing with the death of his brother.
Suicide.
I think he's committed suicide. Yeah. And then, so he's dealing with that, but at the same time,
and his brother was running the restaurant, just to be clear.
He's the one, I think he,
which is a sandwich as well. Which is a sandwich.
Yeah. So he's dealing with that, but he doesn't, like, it doesn't surface on it's like not on the nose to, like, especially when he's talking to other characters, or like his sisters. Like, I'll tell you, want to know, like, more caring characters in there. Well, he's more a bit like despondent and not responsive.
A bit like you,
huh? Nah, I would say I'm emotionally there, but I wouldn't say like, like his one is like just blank.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I feel like now is like that kind of stoic manliness thing that a lot of TikTok edits are looking for.
Yeah.
I mean, kids are like, you gotta be stoic.
Yeah.
Not show no emotions and stuff like that. But we find out throughout the show why all of that is a problem.
Yeah.
And eventually he goes from every time his sister saying, "You okay? Like, is everything good?" To him be like, it's all right. Just getting on with it. To like finally actually having like AA meetings and speaking about it, and him speaking about it does lead to him feeling a lot better about himself. But
then also very deep towards the last episode of season 2 where he does he does something stupid.
Oh yeah.
Because he starts to open up to a girl.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it later on as we go. But yeah, he's a very interesting character, man, for sure. But
what would you say from seasons 1 and 2 that you like the most from the show?
Out?
Yeah.
For me, you like a character who goes through grief. I like a character who goes through a redeeming arc.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it's all redeeming, huh?
What do you mean, man?
I mean,
like you're saying what draw?
Actually, no, it's development. It's not really redeeming.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Character development can, because for me, Carmen had a negative character development. Like not negative, like a roller coaster.
No, it's true. It's true. Yeah.
Like the way that the season 2 ended, you could see he was not up where he was. Beginning. Like in the beginning, he was like, "I'm coming back here to save these people," basically. And then you see what happens. But we'll talk about that a bit later on. But for me, redeeming qualities, redeeming character developments, like Richie's, Marcus's. Like Marcus's is a very interesting one as well. But Richie's one, because Richie's basically the best friend of the brother who committed suicide, and then he's very close to the family. He grew up with them, and he's just like a bit of a waste man for the most part of the season 1. But he's always there. He's one of the guys like you got that one uncle who's a bit of a waste man, but he's always there. He's always sleeping on the sofa and whatnot. But he like you see all of his struggles and trials and tribulations, and like his own self-loathing as well. But he's still like goes through a period where he starts to unpack what's causing him all these issues, and he actually starts to contribute and realize that he is like a actually talented person, and he can actually do a great job. And like that whole character arc, I think that was very
that was a sensational,
that was incredible. And like himself, he's such a funny character. Like he's so dynamic. Like you don't know what to expect. He's so unpredictable. You don't know what to expect, and I love characters like that. And he can be a bit of a villain sometimes, I love a bit of that as well. But then he'll just do random stuff like the crackheads and the gangsters on the streets will be fighting, and he'll go and mediate between them. Stuff like that, randomly stuff. Like it's just very interesting. Like I feel like he really embodies the what do you call it? I feel like he really embodies like the idea of Chicago, like gritty Chicago, and like it becoming like a better place, I guess, kind of thing. So like for him, for me, like he is amazing for the show. And then in terms of like just the way the story is written, like I had an idea for like a chef based show myself, like a story in my head like a while ago.
Why a chef based one?
Because I just randomly thought of the concept. Because me, like, I would always just think of these random ideas just for the sake of idea generation, I guess. But for some reason, I just thought, what if there was a guy that just he's in prison, and he became the prison chef, and people just started loving his stuff up in it. And then he finally like gets released from prison, and then he starts dealing with all his trials and tribulations of leaving prison and trying to rehabilitate into daily life, but then he's still got struggles from his past. So I randomly had a story idea for that.
Bad show, huh?
Because I thought that would be interesting, and then I thought like you see how like Gordon Ramsay. I think it was because I was watching Gordon Ramsay Kitchen Nightmares or something. Like he did one episode where he was in a prison with his prisoners, and I was thinking, this could be interesting. What if someone was on that program of his,
but they were really good,
just changed his life, and then he goes out and he tries to build something, but like his past keeps coming toward him. So I kind of thought about that kind of idea before, but so like when I saw this the first time, I wasn't really that interested, and then when I first got into it, and I think the comedy drew me in first, because there were just like so many random comedic moments, like the kids' party where they put bloody drugs, they put bloody drugs in the punch. Like it's crazy. But then in that same episode, it's like they're just acting this guy, their brother-in-law. Like I'm just thinking, what has this guy done to like piss these guys off so much? But it's like he's trying too hard to be liked, kind of thing, and they don't really like that. They want someone who's a bit more like transparent, be themselves, kind of thing. And maybe because like maybe their relationship with their sister isn't that strong as them. Maybe it reminds them of whatever. But that just from that first, I think that was like the second or first episode. I don't remember. And then they see like I don't know if it's like uncle, sister, or something. I don't remember if it's uncle or just a family friend or whatever.
Yeah, they call him uncle, but he's a family friend.
Yeah, but like you see him coming in straight away, and like I think he even talks about how much he was owed or whatever from the beginning, to help keep the restaurant afloat. But I think it pulls you in very, very quickly from the jump. Like it's not something that takes a bit of some.
And I think that's the good thing with like good writing, like good character, like writing as well, because like I said initially with me, I had no interest in like a kitchen show or like a thing. I just thought, but then when you actually watch it, it doesn't really matter if you have an interest in cooking or any of that kind of stuff. But if the characters are like engaging enough and if they're written well enough, then it becomes universal, because you can actually start to see things that you like in people, regardless of what it is that they do and what it is. And I didn't actually know that the restaurant was actually based on a real like restaurant and a real person.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah. And the guy recently died actually as well. And another thing that I found out as well was that Ibrahim is meant to be Somali.
Yeah, I told you that.
The hell?
Diabolical.
I couldn't believe it. There was like because I'm
at least get a good accent, right? Like
I read the pilot like script thing. I read a bit of it just to see like how it was written, kind of thing. And there's a joke in there, but I don't really remember if it made it to the actual show, where him and Marcus are just going back and forth. And then Marcus is like, oh, so what are you going to do? You're going to kidnap a ship or something with a pirate on it?
Yeah.
And I was like, with a captain on it. And I was like, oh my word, this guy's actually meant to be Somali.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never really saw it throughout that. But yeah, I know you said you like characters, obviously, that have that redeeming arc.
Redeeming arc.
Yeah.
Also, in general, like I think just unpredictable, because what makes a story really immersive is when it feels like real life. And a lot of shows, what they do is they'll give you characters and they'll give you an arc where you can kind of predict what's going to happen. But this is like, I think every single character in this show, every single bit of the supporting cast was almost unpredictable completely. Like you don't know from each of the cast that we mentioned now. There's Tina as well, who's another member of the kitchen, the older Latino woman. Like all of the supporting cast, you couldn't say from season 1 where they will be in season 2. Like that, I think that's it emulates real life. You know, like if you're working in a restaurant, you can't say, and there's a lot of change coming, you can't say, are these people going to be here next month? Are these people going to be here next year? Like who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
What roles are they going to play? And I think it does that very well. It's also the immersion and like the environment that we've talked about before in our, for our sitcom episode. Like the environment that they built was just so good, and then
so real.
Yeah, so real. And then you just have the random episodes where one of the characters goes to another restaurant to learn, and then you feel so immersed in that environment as well. So like that production was built so well, and it collaborated with the story so well that it just feels so immersive. And that's why I would say that's the main thing that I enjoyed. Yeah,
of course. I think for me as well, I like characters that are like actually grafting to get something, and having it not really work out. Like the first episode where he's running around Chicago trying to find like meat, like meat, and he's like having to sell his shoes and stuff like that to get the money to be able to afford it and all that kind of stuff. I was like, okay, yeah, this is real, this is gritty, this is like he's actually after it, rather than it all being kind of polished and he kind of knows where he's, you know what I mean? It's kind of like why I like Batman, the Robert Pattinson's one a lot, was kind of because usually what we know of Batman is the beginning is his kids, he gets killed, his parents get killed.
Yeah.
And then it transitions and now he's just Batman.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? He's just able
Where's
to...
in between?
There is no like, but like in that Patterson one, you can see he's like learning his craft. He's trying to figure out who he's meant to be and how he's actually meant to go about this and the fine line between vengeance and, you know, like actual justice, you know? Whereas, so like, it's kind of similar to this. It's not polished. It's like he's... Even though he comes from this high-end world, he's like rough around the edges, and he's like trying to mold all of that into the world that he's in. And with that being said, I want to ask, who would you say is your favorite character from the show?
It would have to be Richie, like I said.
Richie.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah,
because he just, I think he embodies the show's humor and grit put together.
Yeah.
Like no one else in that show.
Yeah.
But then he also has the redeeming arc, and then you're just like, damn, like he's a very interesting character.
Yeah.
But like, I was gonna ask you a question. Like, I think it's a very interesting question. So the name of the show, The Bear, you don't understand why it's really called The Bear until I think towards the end of season 2. But the idea of a bear, it almost feels like it's stalking its prey. It's hunting you, but there's a threat, you know. But everything seems to be steady sailing until the bear actually comes, and that's how the show feels for me. Where there just seems to be an underlying level of tension, and every now and then there's a bit of humor and a bit good times, and then kapow, like
here it is.
Crazy episodes. You're like, damn, the bear is here now. You know? And then I think once they finally open the actual restaurant and they call it The Bear, I'm like, okay, they've landed now, innit? Yeah. Like that metaphor, I think is very cleverly written by the writers, and I can tell that's probably what they intended.
Yeah, no, of course.
For the actual name of the show.
Yeah. But and obviously to have the bear at the beginning as well, that you can see all caged up and stuff like that. And even in the script, they kind of outline him more, which is basically he's seeing the bear that once had like life in his eyes, that had a normal life, I guess. But then you can see the pain and anguish that it's gone through, and Kami's like trying to calm it down, saying I understand, to kind of showcase that he's feeling what the bear is feeling. And I had a question: if you could pick an animal, let's say, to describe your
personality,
no, like I'll tell you, like attention or something like that, inner grief, I guess.
For myself, like yourself, generally.
Yeah, like what animal would you associate it with?
That is so random, bro.
Because I was thinking about this one, and
you go ahead first.
And I landed on a hawk.
A hawk?
On a hawk, yeah. Because I feel like a hawk is like, especially with birds of prey, like you don't see them coming until like they're ready to actually come and get you.
You know what I mean? They're watching you from afar. You might hear like a screech, but they do the screech somewhere further away before they start going fast to get you running. And they're like, okay, he's running this direction. Let me, you know what I mean, come in and swoop in. So they're not, and so I feel like, I'll tell you, like even my problems, they're not omnipresent. Do you know what I mean? They're not in my periphery all the time. Yeah.
But it feels like there's, like when a time comes, it just comes like, and it just swoops in, and then it's like, okay, here's the problem. Here's what I have to do.
I'll have to say a wolf then.
A wolf?
Yeah.
I'll just say a wolf.
Because a wolf is one of the predators that will always be lurking and what do you call it, stalking its prey. Yeah. And then it'll come to a point where like, okay, the hunt is on now, and then okay, you might escape. You might build a little village, build a little wall, but the threat is there. If you leave the village to go hunting, you need something. Yeah. You're building something good, but you might need something a bit outside of your comfort zone. The wolf is there, you know. Like for me, I would feel like my pressures, my pressures kind of embody that, and it's also like the idea of like a hawk is very similar. I thought of a bird of prey myself first, and then thought about like wolves. Like they have that. You just see pictures of them like standing on the edge of a cliff, like just gazing over, and like they seem very watchful, you know. And I would say my problems are a bit like that as well. Like, and I know they're there and they're watching me. They're getting real metaphorical about it.
Goodness me.
But I mean, I guess I tend to survive.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So I don't know.
Yeah, no, but I was.
You asked me the question, man.
Huh?
You asked me the question, man.
Nah, I know, but I was thinking.
You know what you're gonna get.
I was like, bear's it's interesting, I guess, kind of one to.
Because like you could survive a wolf attack, but a bear, you're not surviving a bear.
I don't think you could survive a wolf attack.
Like
depends how
if
fast.
it's a lone wolf.
Lone wolf, maybe.
I'm saying like the chance. I'm saying the chances are much higher than a bear. Like
nah, no way.
As in your chances of surviving a wolf attack and a bear attack.
No way.
If a bear grabs.
Okay, no, but I'm saying before it grabs you. Like a bear, like there's a lot of ways. Some of them, if you stand still, you get away with. But there's none of that with a wolf.
No. But
and it can sniff
I'm saying
you
if a bear actually wants to get you, you're gone. A wolf is a much smaller animal.
How are you gonna get past a wolf? What you gonna do?
With a stick, bro. Some fire.
With a stick. A wolf. Have you seen a wolf? It's all like
they're huge. They're not
like
dogs.
that.
No, they're huge. They're big. But I'm saying a bear.
And they hunt in packs.
A bear, bro. No, I'm saying a single wolf, bro.
A single wolf. I don't know. Even then, bro.
No. I'm saying you might not survive, but a bear. If it's on you, have you seen the videos, bro?
No, I've seen it.
They'll chase for a long time.
Yeah.
And if it's on you, that's it. You're finished.
Yeah.
I think you watched the Revenant with DiCaprio. And
and guess what? He survived.
No, it's not like they're in real life.
You wouldn't survive a wolf.
It's not like they're in real life, bro.
You wouldn't bloody survive a wolf. I'll tell you that.
But anyways, moving on from the lad talk.
But no, I'll tell you one thing as well. For me, What
about you in terms of characters? You asked me who's your favorite character.
I'll say probably, obviously,
Carmen.
Yeah, probably the main lead. I know it's very typical to pick the main guy, but like I genuinely like the character.
Resonate with him.
Yeah. And kind of how it is, and I would say probably one of the best episodes again on TV was a lot of people say either the Fishes one, the family dinner, or they say Forks, the one with Richie when he goes to that restaurant, he basically revamps himself.
That's probably my favorite episode.
But to touch up on Fishes, like that one there was an absolute chaotic episode, right?
That one had me tense
the whole time. Like they've got these like kind of everyone's in the house, the camera's like all kind of zoomed in a bit, so you're kind of like feeling like
you're in their face.
There's no space.
They're in your face.
You got no space to move around. Like everywhere's messy. Their mom's like going through it, and then they built the tension of that episode by telling the sister basically to not ask the mum if she's okay, because obviously I think their mum goes for like hella mental
some kind of
psychotic
episodes.
Yeah, and she has her episodes, and throughout the whole thing she's like really starting to bug out. Like the pressure, the tension is all mounting. There's this annoying like clock timer thing. It's all like messy and filthy from her hands that's been cooking, and it's like every time it goes off she starts like shouting and bugging out, thinking where's this thing here, where's that thing here, and everyone's trying to help her out but also not trying to help her out.
But it's not just her who's tense.
Everyone else is kind of tense, but brother's kind of tense, and then in between that as well it's like kind of like how a family setting would be, where there's the madness going on but there's also the calm. Whereas like Richie's like speaking with his wife who's pregnant at the time, where Carmi's speaking with his brother who's got, and he's showing him his designs that he wants for his new shop, and all this kind of stuff. And like there's really touching moments, but the main person that really stole the show was Jamie Lee Curtis that was playing the mum, and every time that she was kind of bugging out, and even in my head I was like, is somebody gonna ask if she's okay? Like I completely forgot the number one rule that they basically set in the beginning, which is to not ask that, because to ask that essentially implies that she's not acting okay, which to her would make her set off, right? And then the family dinners were happening and this and that, and one of the guys there called Lee is what's the brother Mikey, what's his actual name? John Sign, the guy that played Punisher.
I always forget his name.
He was sensational as well in this. But then
and you got also the comedic relief. You know Matty Matheson, he's a chef. You know the two
Fact.
Yeah.
He's the only chef I think.
He's a real chef. But like his comedic relief throughout the whole show and the way people treat him, but he still gets involved. And then in that episode where he just comes with it, I don't know if it's his brother or his friend.
Yeah,
I think it's his brother.
Twin, I think.
His twin. They're just dressed the same way. That is hilarious because like it's almost like it's ludicrous to see that in the tension of the whole episode. You just see that randomly like a pair of clowns
in between all of that kind of stuff happening.
Literally a pair of clowns, and then you just see all this other tension. It's just that just killed me every time. But
of course, but
it balances out the tension, even though it's stupid. It just somehow still works.
Yeah.
Like like in your whatever family dinner you're having, there's usually a joker in the family. Like, and even if there is a very tense environment, this joker will still be making some dumb jokes regardless. So it makes it feel a lot more real. Yeah,
of course, and especially since towards the end of that, there's like the older brother who's being taunted by one of the uncles, saying that he's nothing, he's not amounted to much.
And
he's
you can
like
see
a
his
drug dealer
brother
and all this kind of stuff, and basically mocking him. And then his older brother, starts dashing a fork at him, and then it all kicks off. And then whilst all that's kind of happening, then the sister asks the mum basically like if she's okay, because she seemed like she was about to lose it. And then she does lose it, and then she basically rams a car into the bloody house. But one thing about that was like the mum is actually sort of meant to be an embodiment of kind of all of them. She's kind of got that like distant thing that Kami also has. She's got like that unstableness, I guess, that the older brother has. And then she's also kind of got that soft sort of nature that the sister has. So they've kind of like spread her out in the siblings. And the crazy thing is from that episode is that like there's this overarching thing of like she's not dealing with a lot of her problems, and that manifests into that big explosion of her ramming it into the car. And that then happens with the final episode of season 2 with Kami, because they keep telling him that the fridge door handle is like broken, but he keeps putting that to the side. Like any other problems, like he's just focused on like getting the restaurant open. He's getting distracted by his love interest, but like that problem there, he keeps setting it aside, putting it aside, and then eventually what happens is when they have their serving,
worst day possible.
He gets locked in the bloody freezer, and then he implodes the same way that his mum implodes. Again, showing that like the progression of these problems leading to that outburst, which is the bear, because the brother has, it leads again to progression, like he's being taunted, and then the bear happens and he explodes. Him doing the same thing when he's in that freezer and he's like cussing everyone out, and
basically he breaks up with his girlfriend unawares.
Exactly. So it's kind of like there's always this, like you were saying, this tension that's always under the surface, that they just put problems aside, and then it eventually explodes into essentially the bear, I guess. You know what I mean? Which is something as well that we could all take away from that, you know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Like putting your problems aside, instead of sorting it out, doesn't actually help you out. It just negates the problem and it builds it up. It only compounds, and then eventually you're going to explode. Like it's gonna come out one way or another. And I know the natural instinct is to flee, I guess, from your problems. Flee from the hawk or the wolf, I guess. but sometimes if you just attack it face on, you might realize that, okay, actually this isn't as bad as, you know what I mean? Yeah, I thought it was, or I can't get away from it.
But it also, even within that, because of that whole fridge handle thing, him getting locked in, it gave the opportunity to the rest of the cast to step up and show him that he's not alone. Which we might see in season 3. We don't know, because like it could be excuse you, brother. We don't know what's gonna happen in season 3, because the way it left off, it was so positive for 90% of the cast, but for the main character, it was so negative. And like the fact that he was in the fridge, that you glossed over it a bit, but him being in the fridge, he thought he was talking to one of his restaurant staff, but in reality, because he can't see through the fridge, he's saying all these he's almost venting a little bit about like all of my relationship that I've built up with my girlfriend is being so good, and I'm opening up a bit, but I feel like it's distracting me from the work. And I feel like if I was a lot better before, Like, and then but his girlfriend listening the whole time instead of the restaurant stuff, and that's so deep. Like, imagine you're the girlfriend, like that's.
And you're hearing that,
like damn, what am I meant to do for this guy? So like, so, oops,
goodness.
God damn.
Hey, listening,
like a jealous girlfriend itself, but so like the way it ends for everyone is so strange. That's why I love about it. It's so unpredictable. What's gonna happen next season? And even within the restaurant as well. The one thing I was gonna mention is relationships, the relationship dynamics within the staff. From the beginning, it was so tense, but there was like a bit of camaraderie between most of the staff, and then there was Sydney, who's like the main sous chef in the beginning, where she's just interning alongside Kami, and then at the end she's kind of leading the joint because Kami's locked in the freezer and she's the only one that's got real experience. But like her experience, I don't know, her experience, and then her relationship with Marcus, like you feel like, oh, there's something building there, but then she cuts it off completely, and you feel so bad for Marcus. But
it shows the contrast between her and Kami, because Kami wasn't willing to do that, even though they spoke about like, let's put the restaurant first. That's why she felt a bit betrayed by Kami actually having a relationship. Because then that meant she had to go find different menus, she had to go to different restaurants.
Felt alone there as well.
Exactly.
So that's the whole the dynamic of being in a high level kitchen like that. That everyone has to be a family within there and ditch all the outside things. And like another thing with Marcus, who I think was he acted very well, because I don't know if you ever watched Loiter Squad.
You what?
So he was on a show, you know, Tyler the Creator. So he was basically in the same group as Tyler the Creator, like Marcus guy. So like they were just on absolute nonsense. Like you know the show Jackass. Like they were just doing stuff like that basically. So he was like a complete idiot. So I never expected to see him in this show being serious
acting like this.
But he was. I think he
was phenomenal, man.
Apparently that was like one of his like main acting debuts or whatever. So like he did very well. But like his arc as well, where like his mum is in hospital, and he's developing all his skills, and he goes to Denmark and he learns from the bloody guy from Narnia,
Will Poulter. That's
and he's very good in the show as well. Like I never expected him to just be a random chef. Like he looked like he knew what he was doing. Like damn, brother. But like his arc, he's so like he feels like everything's going better for him, but his mother's still in hospital. But like he's developing a relationship with Sydney, he thinks, and then his pastry work is getting better and better, to the point where his dessert gets put into the menu. Like that's a very big privilege for him, because that means like one of the main menu items is what he invented, without having to go into school or anything like that for chefery. And then
chefery.
I don't know why I said that. Chefery. This guy from the hood,
suspected every culinary school, I think is what it's called.
Culinary school. Jeffrey, man. That's what the brothers in the streets call it.
I'll put you on that chopping block now.
Oh man, that's the brothers with the machetes. That's what they're saying. My word, mate. That's their skill.
Speaking to the wrong dynamic there.
That's their Call of Duty perk right there. But my word, but he has so many highs, and then like the low of his mum getting really ill, and then Sydney just saying, nah, I ain't on that right now. You didn't even say right now, you just I ain't on that. Like you just see his heart's broken, like damn. So like you're thinking like, and that's happened during the last episode where he's trying to like show his skill, but he's also trying to speak to the person that he likes, because he's trying to get her attention, like or like what are we? But he does it in a bit of an annoying way. You're like, come on, bro, like time and the place, like let the day finish. So like you can understand why like she just snapped at him, but it's also very unsavory. You're like, oh, you done the boy dirty there. Like damn, just tell him later. But she can't say later, like not now, which he didn't understand. But like it's the way the show picks its moments to have these moments of tension and flare-ups, and then die it down, and then but you can see like there's so much heartbreak, like and you don't know what you're gonna expect. So next season, what's gonna happen for Marcus? Is he gonna want to stay in an environment like that where?
I think he would, because I think he loves what.
Towards the end, he stops picking up the phone from his auntie or whatever. His mom's in hospital, so like it seems like he's starting to ignore his real life tribulations to focus on the kitchen.
That's an interesting part actually, because I think one of the things as well, because obviously everyone, as we go through these episodes, we start to love these characters and they start to become more like family and knowing these personalities. And with him, he was constantly someone that was on their phone, checking up on either on their mum, his friend that always comes into the bloody kitchen. But then as you got more into his...
he was the most human.
He was the most human. But as you got into his thing a bit more, he basically started, like, them showing all those missed calls was them trying to also show that he's gone beyond that.
Yeah.
And one thing that I found really, really interesting was that when they're basically fixing up the restaurant to open up, you see Sid, which is the sous chef, she basically comes into the restaurant, like opens it up at like 3 a.m. Expecting that it's just her, because she felt like very lonely. She felt like this is the only home that she kind of has to go on, and blah blah blah. Yeah. She thought it would be him, but instead when she opens the thing, there's Carmi in there, there's Richie in there, there's Marcus in there. Everyone is really in there except Tina, who's actually got a family at home, you know. But everyone uses that restaurant to kind of escape their realities. It's like Marcus has got all these problems that he's dealing with outside, but the restaurant to him is very, very real, you know. Same thing with Carmi, same thing with Richie.
He's got a daughter.
He's got his daughter, yeah. But like their personality now is like morphed into the restaurant.
Yeah.
And then seeing how it was from the early seasons where they would bounce straight away to like now actually wanting to be there till late shows like the progression in
Marcus.
All of them.
Yeah. But Marcus also had that moment where he slept in
the restaurant
just to perfect his donuts.
Yeah.
But and then the chef actually ended up really liking it. But then there was a point in the first, I don't know if it was in the first season, where Carmi just slaps the plate out of his hand with because he's trying to present the donut to Carmi, and Carmi's also saying like no at that point. So you can see Marcus is like kind of struggling with time and place for things, but that's also because he's inexperienced. He's not used to this environment. And he is trying to perfect something. So he's in his artiste bag, you know. But he doesn't realize this isn't a place for artists. This is a place people gotta be on business right now, and then do your own thing in your own time. But don't mess around with the live service. And he doesn't really understand that. So that's another thing that he keeps on missing those signs until later on it almost comes to a head where he's completely misread all the signs. So the girl he thinks that really likes him doesn't apparently. And now he's also got the arc. His mum could be dying or whatever, or worse.
Exactly.
Sorry, or worse. His mum could be in a very critical condition or worse. But now he's also missing those signs as well. So like you really don't know what to expect with Marcus going forward either. Even though he's developed all this talent now, and you thought like by him going and studying in Denmark, like he would have came back in a consistently high trajectory. But now who knows?
Exactly. Yeah, and I think one thing I wanted to also touch up on is, I think because of the point that you made before about the I guess redeeming arcs of these characters, to flesh them out a bit more. So you have this Tina lady, which is like one of the older ones, I guess, in the group.
She is,
and she's a player hater to Sydney, who's like younger than her and like kind of essentially knows a bit more, and like is telling her like this is how I actually do it, blah blah blah. So there's that kind of tension until she eventually develops that respect for her, being like, oh no, she's not trying to mock me, she's just trying to perfect my craft. And so she switches up in that aspect from like going against everything she says to being like, okay, actually maybe
she was a jarring character in the beginning.
Like, and then so much so that then when they actually put her into that culinary school, not chefery, that and she passes, then Sydney tells her, you want to be like the sous chef, which is like one of the highest honors. And then she's like, you know, very happy with that, and you know, that was a very emotional scene. Like
she smiles like like a proper smile,
proper one, and it teared me up a little bit. And then obviously you've got Marcus that has his whole redemption, and you've got Richie, which again with one of the, I think, best. How
do you feel about Ibrahim?
Bruh, I couldn't care less about that guy, man.
Because it doesn't make sense, like what his whole
he left.
Was.
They also put him into the culinary school thing as Tina went to as well. But he left because he was like, I don't do school. I don't know this stuff. I know and then when he sees things are like kind of progressing, and I guess they all kind of need that family, so they all gravitate towards that kitchen again. And then,
but it felt like it didn't have any presence in his story or soul to it. He just like he's a character that he just on the side.
Him and that other guy. There's another guy that I even forgot his name.
Is it
the other black guy?
Yeah. But with him, like, I don't know. With him, like, he doesn't have much of a story background, you can see, but he's more involved than Ibrahim.
He is more involved, but I don't know what his
role is either. And then they got the dishwasher. I think there's 2 other dishwashers as well.
Yeah, just somewhere around
there. Yeah, but, like, I don't know if they're gonna give them more depth in the next season. But yeah, for me, Ibrahim, because I feel like he's one of the main. Like, he's written like he's meant to be one of the main supporting cast, but he has no depth whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I find that very strange. Very inconsistent
compared to like the others as well. Like, there's nothing really. I think they were trying to do some sort of development thing from him when he comes back, but I
didn't get it.
Kind of get it.
Same.
Whereas someone like, for example, Richie, where they completely turn him around from being like someone that's messing everything up to like becoming a role player.
Yeah.
And then when Kami gets locked in the freezer, he becomes the actual like person that's dishing things out and you know what I mean, putting everything out. And like, his redemption was
unreal,
phenomenal. Yeah.
Top 5 redemption arcs right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you ever work in the kitchen like that?
Absolutely not.
Even as a dishwasher?
Nah. I'm joking. To be fair, I wouldn't mind doing that as like the person that gives the plates out.
Waiter.
But like, but I wouldn't be doing no flipping on the line.
Yeah,
that stuff.
Hella stressful.
Yeah. I've seen the Gordon Ramsay stuff, and that's very like close to real life. I mean, it is real life. Like how he shouts at people is genuinely, because it's hot in there, stressed.
It's loud.
It's loud. It's like, yo, you doing this thing? Hurry up, get it. You know what I mean? It's like, it's actually.
Yeah,
it's actually like that. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, why would you put yourself in that?
I don't get how someone could be passionate about that. Like, I get being passionate about making something like a small family, like try my food and people like it. Yeah, you feel happy about it. But in a restaurant,
especially when it's like 4 hours of straight just that.
And they have like the first, I don't remember what episode it was, but there was critics coming in. I think critics came in.
Yeah.
And like, that's the whole other thing. Like, imagine dealing with that as well. Yeah. And then you got to deal with all the nonsense of the people in the kitchen. Like, all of them are on their own little shenanigans. But another very important subject. So we talked about grief in the last episode, but suicide. So like suicide and the way, I don't think I've ever watched a show that handles suicide in such a way like so visceral as this. Like, it just feels so real, and you feel so emotional with them. I think. Yeah. Like I don't think I've ever felt like and I've never enjoyed watching grief-filled shows and stuff like that.
But you know what's interesting, because they did it in a way where it's kind of like, it's a bit present, but it's not in your face. Like, even him, he doesn't talk about his brother committing suicide a lot. He doesn't even like mention it to that many people. He kind of has this monologue where he kind of speaks about it, but even then it's to him it's kind of glossed over, and everyone kind of understands why and all this kind of stuff. But the main thing is, funny enough, is the restaurant itself, because that was Mikey's thing, you know what I mean? And then there's an interesting part where they kind of cross the line between what was Mikey's thing and what is now being changed. So it's kind of like that book on grief that we read, where he's kind of talking about
memory,
that part of the memory which is what was real, and then what eventually your brain will start to change of that person. And then when they're trying to get those what's it called, when they trying to get signed off by those people that come and check inspectors, the gas facilities and all that kind of stuff, and they had a problem with the gas thing for so long, and they were trying to figure out why was this the case, and then they figure out that it was done like that on purpose by Mikey, and we figure out that he did that as basically what they've called Jewish lightning, but to basically burn the house down, burn the restaurant down, and then get the insurance. And that was basically his plan throughout it. And so they realize that, and then they kind of gets to that point where now they have to move beyond that memory and beyond what he envisioned for this restaurant, which is initially what Richie hates, which is like, bro, this isn't how we do it. This isn't what he liked. This isn't how he would do this. This isn't how we do that. And then Kami basically pushing him over the edge and then being like, no, like, I'm sure he would have wanted us to actually pop with this thing. Yeah. And then them being like, okay, fine, let's change the thoughts of this thing, how he wanted it. Let's put that in the past, because I guess we found out now that he wanted to burn it down. But now let's figure out on how to basically move on, essentially, from this sort of grief that's like murky around the building, So they completely changed the building. It looks completely different now to how it was before. It's more high end. And I was like, okay, that's a very interesting way of dealing with grief, because they personified the building really as someone changing. But the characters themselves, they still got obviously time to change over that. And I guess that's what we'll find out through as the seasons go on.
What do you think about the pacing?
The pacing, I like that.
I feel like this is a masterclass in pacing. I don't think that I've ever seen a show that does pacing this well, where the timing of every single part of the story is just so well written. Like
it's like surgical almost, but it doesn't feel surgical. Like
natural. Like very precise.
Yeah, it's very precise, but the way it's kind of done is a bit rough around the edges. I kind of like even the editing for me. I kind of like that kind of fast-paced editing, like Casey Neistat's type of style, or like Guy Ritchie, him like trying to quick cuts like that. Oh, this thing's happening, that thing's happening, and you're trying to like figure it out in your brain to like, I don't know, maybe it might be some sort of ADHD or something. Brain is bouncing all over the walls. But it slows it
down very well.
And then when it needs to, like, it will slow it down, even if it's like a few minutes later. You know?
And that comes from like the soundtracks, the ambient sounds, the speech, even things like the way how long you'd give it a shot to show someone's expressions. Like, it would just be like a perfect amount of time. Like,
exactly.
If you're in like an uncomfortable situation, you're not going to be looking at the person in the eye. Like that's how it feels in the show. Like, you're trying not to catch the eye of the person. Like if you're in a situation where there's like, let's say you're in school or whatever, you don't know the answers, but the teachers are like looking for someone to pick. Like most of the time you'll give the teacher just a little enough to say that I'm listening, but also not enough to be like, I'm engaged, like come ask me. So like that's how I feel like the pacing, like masterclass in pacing and timing of editing and shots.
Of course.
I think that was another incredible thing, that
especially like when they do like one take shots, or like when they just want to sit the frame on specific kind of. I think the example you kind of gave, another example would be like if you was at your friend's house and a parent just smacked them up, and then not cutting it to like your reaction, their reaction, just having one wide shot. Just having one wide shot of like just that silent of just that quiet where you know what's just happened, you know. You just have to sit in that awkwardness now. You know, like that's what it is. And like I think even the videos that I showed you as well, where they were sitting with the editors and they were talking about how they would actually go about this, where they would sit there until they themselves feel uncomfortable and they're like, okay, this is good, because they're not shying away from like, okay, this is too uncomfortable, let's just change shots. No, let's like actually sit in this moment, because this is very real and this is very, you know, present. And that's what I liked.
What would you like to see from season 3 then?
More of the same. You know,
what about for the characters? Like, what kind of a character arc would you like to see from them?
You know what, I Richie Moore, I want to see now that he's put himself in scene, he can actually be like one of the leaders. How he kind of progresses in that. I guess Sid as well, she's now kind of, I guess, realized that she can run this without Kami kind of being there, which she always thought she needed. How Kami kind of deals with the fact that they can't do it without him.
That's the main thing I want to see.
You know what I mean?
I think now Kami, the real spotlight on him more than anyone else.
It's kind of like Ronaldo seeing them pop 5 goals while he's on the bench, and he's like, okay, how does this work now? Where do I play in this? You know, like this young generation passing him. So that's kind of what I would like to see, and how the restaurant, I guess, kind of develops, because now it's kind of like the restaurant is where it needs. So I'm like, okay, how do they move this restaurant further? But I guess I'm happy to be surprised.
It's just I think it'll be, for me, I like to see some more fleshing out of characters like Ibrahim, the other black guy, we completely forgot his name.
Maybe I should do one where he's actually talking about Somalia. That's what I want to bloody see.
Why don't you just support Siad Murray like non-stop?
Siad Murray, this time we should have seen it. Nah. But yeah, man. Honestly, what a show. Honestly, top show. We look forward to it coming out. I'm excited for it. Hopefully they put it all out at once. Even though I won't watch it all at once, but I just need to know it's there.
He's greedy.
But no, definitely. If you guys haven't seen it, I would highly recommend it. I don't think I've been this excited for a show, I think, since Game of Thrones.
Did it make you want to go in the kitchen and make a little quick meal?
Nah, but what I've started to do in my shop, I wear an apron now.
Yeah.
Just to feel alive, you know what I mean? But yeah, with that, ladies and gentlemen,
it's been your boys.
Yeah. And if you guys have seen it as well, let us know what you guys thought of the series, and love to have a discussion on that. And we've been your boys from the Papertrails podcast, and we shall see you guys in the next one.
Peace out.
Peace.